we'll be discussing Aries. I'm going to give a quick intro for this whole session as we start. So we have 9 planets, 12 houses, right? And the 12 houses starts from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and then you have Libra, Scorpio, and then you have Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Then you have 9 planets, right? The 9 planets start from Sun, Moon, 2 royal planets, 2 luminary planets. Then you have the 5 big planets, the big 5. The big 5 are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And then the 2 nodes, the shadow nodes, which is Rahu, Ketu. Okay? Now you can break down these 12 houses in multiple different ways, and you can break down the planets into multiple different ways. This is very basic and very important to know. This is like your basic street map. You cannot forget it. Okay? So to break down the houses, you can break down by male, female, masculine, feminine. All odd houses are masculine, or all female houses or all even houses are feminine. So odd are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, right? Starting from Aries to Aquarius, this is masculine. Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, Aquarius, masculine. All even are feminine in nature. Those start from Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. Okay? So this is how the gender is. One way of making it out. Another way of doing it is by element. By element would be as fire, earth, air, water. Okay? So your fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Earth are Taurus, then Virgo, then you have Capricorn. Then air is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Water is Scorpio, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This is another way of breaking it down. And then there is one more way of breaking it down by their nature. Movable, fixed, dual. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn is movable. Taurus, then Leo, then you have Scorpio, and Aquarius is fixed. And then you have dual, which is Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, as well as Sagittarius is dual in nature. So you have movable, fixed, dual. Okay? So I have broken down different ways of it. Now what is also important, you can break down another way is very important to note. Okay? This is past, present, and future. The way I say past, present, and future is your first house, right, which is Aries here, is your past. Present is Taurus. Then future is Gemini. Same thing you can do, right? So Aries, then you have Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. This axis is all about past. So if you go and see that if you have many planets in this house, that means you're always worried about the past. The past will always be bothering you. If you have many planets, which is in the axis of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, right? That is more of, I would say, your present. Okay? Then you have the dual houses, right? Which is the 2 houses, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius, Pisces. That's more of your future. Okay, so you're always worried about the future. So you can understand by this way of how the breakdown happens in this process. Okay, as the past, present, and future. Now, so I've broken down this. What is important is now the planet's nature, right? So sun, moon. So sun is, in terms of sex of the planets, sun is masculine, Mars is masculine, Jupiter is masculine. Some say Rahu is masculine, some say Rahu is feminine. I usually put Rahu in the masculine nature, okay? In female, you have Moon and Venus are female. Okay? Moon and Venus are female. Now, then you have the Inuch planets, which is, you have, in Inuch, you have Saturn, Mercury, Ketu. Okay? Now, in terms of benefic and malefic way of also separating it out, you have, before benefic and malefic, I should also break it down through light, right? So, sun is the natural source of light. Moon is an absorber, reflector as well, so has some light energy source which we can see it in the night. The next one we have light energy sources are strong Jupiter and Venus. Mars can absorb and send light, Saturn to a very little extent. And the two dark planets are Rahu and Ketu, and Saturn is also very dark. Okay? Mercury also has the ability for light, absorption and reflection here. But the darkest are Rahu, Ketu, and then Saturn here. Now, in terms of benefic and malefic, you have Jupiter is the biggest benefic, followed by Venus. But if there is a full moon, then the full moon equals Jupiter. And if the full moon is aspected by Jupiter, it's stronger than a Jupiter. And then you have a Mercury which is independent or separate, single, or alone by itself. Or with a benefic, it's a benefic. And then you have a moon which is a waxing moon, it's still a benefic. Okay? These are all benefics here. Malefics are Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, right? Rahu, Ketu, Saturn. Then you have full moon, not the full moon, sorry, the so-called new moon here, and the waning moon. Okay? Now, I've not mentioned sun deliberately because sun is malefic. It's half 50% malefic and 50% benefic. That is the way I would classify as sun into this process. Okay? So this is how the breakdown comes along the nature. And I also broke down from a light perspective as well. Okay? Now, so we've broken down, this is the background. Now we'll go into Aries. Okay? So, Aries. So Mars owns two houses, right? Mars is the owner of Aries, Mars is the owner of Scorpio. Mars owns two houses. One house is Aries, one house is Scorpio. Aries is masculine, Scorpio is feminine. Mars is masculine nature. So the entire masculine energy of Mars, right, kind of reciprocates well with this Aries house. Very strong masculine energy in the Aries house, right, which Mars really loves. So that's where if you see the Mula Trikona of Mars is also in Aries. Okay? So Mars planet, if you look at, is exalted in Capricorn, right? In Saturn's house at 28 degrees, right? In the nakshatra of Dhanishta, which is his own nakshatra. And in the Navamsa, he would go to Virgo as he gets exalted in this process. Now, Mars gets debilitated at 28 degrees in Cancer in the nakshatra of Ashlesha owned by Mercury. Okay? So, very important to note the exaltation points as well. Mars' own house is Aries and Scorpio, among which Mars' Mula Trikona favorite house is Aries. Okay? Now, as we go into this thing, what I would want to also highlight is Team A and Team B, which is important. So, any volunteers? I know, Kushita, you might be in the call or thing doing work, but any other volunteers for highlighting Team A and Team B? Hi, Marjorie, I see you joined as well.
Hi, Srini.
Any volunteers? Okay, I'll go ahead then. So take a piece of paper if you want to understand this. Okay, if you want to understand this, take a piece of paper. And what I would say is that in a piece of paper, pen or pencil, whatever you have, just draw a line in between. Yeah. And what I want you to do is, as you draw a line, what I want you to do is draw a line in between vertically, yeah? And in the left-hand side of the line, I want you to write Team A, okay? In the right-hand side, I want you to write Team B, okay? Now, in the left-hand side, what I want you to do is, I want you to write Captain Jupiter. So we'll focus on Team A first, okay? Jupiter is the captain. Now, within that, what I want you to do is, I want you to draw a circle in the left-hand side, okay? I want you to write the planets in the circle, inside the circle. Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Ketu. Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Ketu. Below that, what I want you to do is, I want you to write, I want you to draw a square or a rectangle, and we're going to write 6 houses in that. Those are Aries, Cancer, Leo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Pisces. 6 houses, okay? Then, below that, you can draw an oval box or an oval egg-shaped circle kind of a thing, or egg-shaped, oval-shaped. I want you to write 15 constellations, okay? In the right-hand side, what I want you to do is, where you written Team B, I want you to go and put Captain as Venus. In that, I want you to draw a square or a circle rather, draw a circle, and write down these planets: Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Rahu. Below that, I want you to write or draw rather a rectangle or a square, and you want to write 6 houses: Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Libra, Capricorn, Aquarius. 6 houses. Below that, draw a oval shaped or egg-shaped kind of a box or egg-shaped figure. In that, write 12 constellations. Okay? Now, this is Team A, this is Team B. This is very important if you want to understand Vedic astrology from the way I explain to people. Okay? So, within now, Aries, you can see, belongs to Team A, owned by Mars. So the left-hand energy is always going to support the Aries energy here. Write all this somewhere, okay? Now, importantly, you want to understand that planets of Team A will support in Aries, some over the other than planets in Team B, okay? Now, let's look at the Aries, okay? House. Now, this is where we're going to go into this details. So the Aries is the first house in the whole Kalpurush, right? The natural zodiac. First house. Mars owns the first and Mars owns the 8th, right? So it's the first house. Very important to note that. Now, this house I mentioned earlier, it's a movable house. It's a masculine energy as well. It's movable, okay? It's a fire house, right? Fire sign. We spoke about the elements as well, fire. So, fire, very important. If you look at the symbol, okay, symbol is like, of this house, is like a goat kind of a head, right? So they call it a ram or whatever it is, but it's like a goat head, okay? Goat head or a horse head you can think of, like similar like a goat or a horse, but it's actually more like a goat, okay? And the way you see is, the reason they put goat head is also that if you see, like, how should I say, goats and sheep, they always go together. They don't go alone. If you would have seen goats, right, or sheep, they're always together like a flock, right? It's important that people with a strong Aries ascendant, right? I'm talking more of ascendant or even moon in Aries here, has an ability of interdependence among people, friends. That is where the biggest success in life for them can happen. Okay? So, because of this energy which goes with them, so they don't do really well by alone, being as an Aries ascendant or like even a moon in Aries here. They have to be with a group of people. Okay, that's very important. Now, if you look at the constellations which are in this, you have 3 sets of constellations. one full set of Ashwini Nakshatra owned by Ketu, one full set of Bharani Nakshatra owned by Venus, and one pada or one quarter of Kritika Nakshatra owned by Sun. Okay? Because this is a masculine sign and it's owned by Mars and it's the first house, it's the Mula Trikona, right? What you see is, it is more like these people are prone to, I would say, anger, okay? Moving fast, it's also a movable house, right? Moving fast, and sometimes to the energy of moving fast is doing actions without thinking, right? They will first do it and then think later, okay? So a lot of things, I would give an example of a lot of impulse purchases, right? In shopping and stuff like that, there is some energy of Mars, through either Mars or through either Aries. One of those energy comes in where you don't apply your mind and you do this impulse purchases here, right? Now, I'm not told which items. It's general shopping through impulse purchases. That's kind of what I'm trying to break it down. Okay? And usually these people are prone to a lot of anger and a lot of, even I would say, blood-related issues also is there. And then more so than blood, even anything around the head area, right? The brain and mental stress, tension, all those areas is where I would say these people are really susceptible or prone to. Okay? So important is to stay calm, cool, and move with a group of people and group of friends for them to get the best energy. Okay? Now, this is pretty much about Aries. I did mention about it's a fire sign. So the fire is basically, how can I compare this fire sign is, this is a fire which would be coming from your cooking range, right? Your cooking pot, your gas range, where you burn the flame. This is this kind of a fire, right? Which is very important, right? Because you want to cook your food through the fire. Keep microwave aside for a minute, but it's the cooking range, right? The fire which comes out, assuming you have a gas stove or something. Do understand what happens if you overcook it. Either the food gets burnt, or the food gets boiled out, or the food gets, extra cooked, etc., right? So it's important that you control the flame, you manage the flame, and you know when to switch it off. That's that energy you want to manage, right? So it's very similar to that energy. Okay? Now, right. So we've done with high energy levels of Aries summary. Now we'll go with all the planets that are very high level. So the way I would break down is the way I did for Cancer and all the houses which I'll do with all the planets. So usually all the planets from Team A will do very well here, right? All the planets of Team A, the Sun, Moon, Mars and Jupiter, except Ketu is an exception here, because you don't want to have Ketu in Aries house. Okay? Except Ketu, pretty much all the other planets would do very well. The only reason is because Ketu doesn't do well also is because there is a lot of head energy already there. Which is because I mentioned is, this person typically won't think before do something, and Ketu does not have a head. So logically, if you see, already the person doesn't think, and already the Ketu doesn't have a head. So there is a conflict of energy here in this process. Okay? So you may want to be a little careful about only Ketu, but otherwise all planets between Sun, Moon, Mars and Jupiter does well. Okay? Now if you look at the planet, Sun is exalted here. Sun is exalted at 10 degrees in the nakshatra of Ashwini. Okay? Now, Sun exalted in 10 degrees in the nakshatra of Ashwini would be in Gemini in the Navamsha. Okay? So, Sun does very well here, exalted here, right? Mars is Mula Trikona house here. Okay? So, again, very good. Jupiter does very well in this house, right? And even Moon does very well as well. But the only thing, if Moon has to really do well, that Moon has to be dignified. If ascendant Aries ascendant has to be do very well, then the ascendant owner Mars has to be dignified. That's when the thinking will come before action. Because if you understand the nature of Mars as a planet, Mars is a fire planet. Mars is an action planet. Mars is a commander of the army. Mars is just about going and doing the action without thinking, right? That's why Mars gets exalted in the 10th house, which is of profession and work in Capricorn, where there is discipline, structure involved. And Mars gets debilitated in Cancer, which is a watery emotional house as home, where there is no place for an army officer or a commander sitting in the house. Okay, so you have to understand that as well. So Mars loves this house, right? Highest masculine energy in this house here for Mars. The planet, if you look at, which gets debilitated is Saturn. Saturn gets debilitated at 20 degrees in the... So if you look at 20 degrees, that would be the nakshatra of Bharani nakshatra, right? So that is the problem. For Venus, this is more like a neutral house. For Mercury, it's an inimical house. Rahu does well, in Aries. Ketu not well. And Venus, I already mentioned, is neutral. Saturn debilitated and Mercury inimical house. Okay? Now we'll start with all the planets breakdown. So Sun, I mentioned already, it's exalted at 10 degrees, right? Now Sun usually in Aries, and let's say the person is a team A ascendant and some favorable Mahadasas of team A comes. That means that person has the ability to be working for a government or corporate, job, or work with the government, or even associated with higher levels in the government, like a head or something, right? Provided Sun is dignified, just not exalted. The exaltation only helps to give you a position in certain government jobs or work with government. To go to higher levels, you need Sun dignified. Very important, right? Now, one more important thing is Sun is also the father for a person, and between Sun and the 9th house, 9th lord, if dignification happens, then gains through the father, support through the father is also seen. Can be at a career level, can be at a money level, etc. Okay? So that is how Sun is. Sun really does very well here, but again, Sun has to be dignified. Very important. Okay? And always understand, whichever planet it is, the house owner Mars has to be in a strong position. If the house owner Mars is in a very bad or a weak position, then sometimes the exalted Sun or the good planet sitting here may not give you good results. So you have to understand from that perspective also. Okay? Next is Moon. Okay? When it comes to Moon, you should always understand the strength of the Moon through the light. Okay? So these are the way I would break it down. First, is the Moon here a full moon, a waning moon, or a waxing moon? Okay? If it's a full moon, waning moon, waxing moon, full moon is the best one, waxing is the next one, waning is the weakest. Now, within waning and waxing, you want to check the strength, what's percentage, right? Like you have in your iPhone or something, how much is your battery percentage, 60%, 70%, etc. of charge. So you may want to check that as well, okay? The next one is, you want to check if planet like Jupiter or Venus is aspecting this moon, or they are in Kendra to the moon as well. Okay, so Jupiter aspecting the moon is a great blessing. Okay, next is you want to check if moon is away from malefics, which is very important, and even the 2nd and 12th to the moon placement should be away with devoid of malefics. Okay. You want to see if moon has some kind of directional strength, and moon is placed in the Navamsha also well. The directional strength is moon gets directional strength in the 4th house, right? So you want to see if moon in Aries is a 4th house. 10th house loses directional strength. But end of the day, you want to see how moon is placed in Navamsha, right? So you want to see that as well. You want to see the strength of the moon through at least the Saptavarga chart, which is the top 7 charts in the divisional chart. And the last one you want to see is the strength of the moon through Shantibala, which is Tanabala, Digbala, Drigbala, Ainabala, Kalabala, Cheshtabala is there, okay? At least you want to see Sthanabala and Digbala, if not Drigbala, okay? Sthanabala and Digbala. And planets like Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, aspecting Moon, conjunct with Moon is not good, okay? It's not good. You want to see if planets like your Mercury or Venus, aspecting Moon is still okay, right? Because it's light. There will be some negative effects, right? But there will be a lot of positive also if you understand it's light. So that's important. And I'm trying to think what else it is there. So usually, right, people who have Moon here and somewhere is related to a profession and stuff, right, they will, I would say that they will fast action people, and if the Moon is dignified, they will think through very well with either their friends or their mind to do actions, okay? They are very strong. No matter if they fall down in their career or life, they will come up again if the Moon is placed here and dignified, okay? And usually I've seen also people, working in place where it can be like something like sports. Sports, I've seen a very strong thing, right? Or hard-working people working in not only construction, but working in a chemical factory around boilers and stuff like that, okay? Because of the heat energy involved here. Even weapons and stuff like that, right? So that's where I've seen that. Next is Mars, right? Mars, Mula Trikona house, right? Very strong energy. So Mars, even though it's very good here, there is some side effect. The side effect is doing action without thinking, okay? So which sometimes is a problem, right? And refuse to think through later as well in the process because of this Mars. So that's where Mars has to be dignified. So if Mars is sitting here, and Jupiter is aspecting it, or even a Venus is aspecting it, right, will dignify that Mars. Or even if a Moon is aspecting that Mars, okay, will dignify this Mars and will make the Mars think through the process, okay? So that is, so Mars sometimes sitting by itself without any other aspect of the benefit may not be a good one, even though it's good for a lot of things, but will give you challenges, okay? Because this person would refuse to take feedback. This person would be very angry, will use the head first, but won't think, right? All those things are there. And it's kind of very difficult to manage this person because it's like Mars is in full flow and steam and energy in this house here because of his Mula Trikona house. Okay? Mercury, right? Mercury's main enemy is Moon. Okay? That's what Mercury considers. Versus Mars enemy, if you look at, right, is more of Saturn. Okay? So Mars doesn't consider Mercury as his enemy. It's Mercury who considers, or my mistake, sorry. Mercury doesn't consider Mars as his enemy. Mercury considers Moon as his enemy. First rated enemy for Mars is Mercury. Then only Saturn comes later. But first rated enemy of Mars is Mercury. Okay? First rated of Mercury's enemy is Moon. So Mercury, even though he is fine to be in this house, he feels it's neutral house, etc. But the house owner Mars is not happy that Mercury is in this house, right? So that's where the challenge happens with Mercury placement here. If Mercury sits here, we'll try to do something good because he feels this house is neutral house for him. He doesn't have a problem with it, right? And he's happy that he's moved away from Pisces to Aries because Pisces is where he gets debilitated, right? But end of the day, if you see house of Gemini and if you see house of Gemini and house of Virgo, those are in the 8-11 axis. Touch Virgo, Aries is in the 8th house when Mercury is sitting. Touch Gemini, Mercury sitting in Aries will be in the 11th house. So it's in the bad axis, right? 8-11 axis. So that's where Mercury all the more feels a little bit uncomfortable in this process, okay? So something important to note that Mercury considers moon as his enemy, and Mars is like neutral. Versus Mars' first enemy, if you look at, is Mercury, then only Saturn. So you should always remember this friendship relationship of the planets. Okay? The next one, if you look at, so I finished what? Sun, I finished Moon, finished Mercury. Or Mars I finished, right? And then Mercury. Okay, Jupiter. Jupiter is an excellent position here. Okay? Sitting here, first thing he can aspect his own house Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's Murtrikona house with the ninth aspect, which is a beautiful placement, right? And he can also aspect Leo, and he can also aspect Libra other than that. But the important point here is he's able to access his own house aspect, which is Murtrikona house, ninth house. So he becomes so happy and comfortable that he would dignify this house significantly. He would dignify Leo as well as Libra. So very important that Jupiter's placement here is an excellent placement, right? And the fact is that Jupiter and Mars are also friendly to each other as well, right? So that's very important as well. And being a movable house, do understand this. Aries is a movable house. So all planets get little bit extra strength in a movable house. Okay, so consider this that you are going to a friend's house, right? You're treated as a guest. Okay, so you're treated with guest and you are given this nice warm welcome, etc. So this movable house, all movable houses, Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn, treats all these 9 planets, even if it's enemy, will have some kind of respect and welcome through this process. Okay, so there is always some extra strength given to them, even if it is an enemy. Okay, so movable houses has the highest strength energy. It is also goes back to certain nakshatras in this combination as well. Okay, there are multiple reasons the nakshatras and the padas and the navams are also related to it, but do remember that among all the 12 houses, movable houses are the strongest. Okay, the Aries, the Cancer, the Libra and Capricorn. Okay, next is I finished Jupiter, right? So next is Venus. See, Venus is like a neutral house. Okay, it's okay. It's sometimes bad or neutral, however you want to consider it, but I would say it's like a neutral house because Venus considers Mars as neutral, nothing. The only thing here is Venus sits here, has the ability to aspect its own house, which is Libra, right? So Venus gets strengthened in this process as well because it's able to see its house. Remember this principle of Vedic astrology. Any planet sitting in a house where it is able to aspect its own house gets some kind of strength, okay, which is very important, right? Very important. So let's take an example. Mars sitting in Taurus. It's neutral position, but do understand Mars sitting in Taurus can aspect the house of its own, which is Scorpio. Okay? Very important, note that. And Mars sitting in Taurus is the benefic house of Jupiter. So Mars gets dignified. So the benefic houses you have to understand are the 6 plus 1. The 6 houses are Sagittarius, Pisces, Libra, Taurus, and then you have Gemini, Virgo. Moon house is a benefic house if it's a full moon or a waxing moon. Okay? Mercury house is a benefic if that Mercury is a benefic in the chart as placed singly alone without any other planet or with a benefic. Okay, then Mercury is a benefic for all the 12 houses of the 12 ascendants. You can think that way. Okay. So I finished Venus, yeah? Okay, next is you have Saturn. Saturn is a very bad position because Saturn's even the first enemy is the sun and the moon, right? Saturn gets debilitated here. Okay, Saturn gets debilitated here. And the debilitation is at around 20 degrees in the nakshatra of Bharat. And because Saturn gets debilitated here, okay, it's a challenge for Saturn here, right? And Saturn is very uncomfortable in this house here. And then, if you look at it, the only way if Saturn has to do good, even if Saturn is sitting here, a Jupiter aspect to Saturn, or a Venus aspect to Saturn, somewhat that Saturn would do well, okay, even if it's debilitated, okay? But, when Saturn is debilitated sitting here, there is always issues with longevity of the person, how long the person will live, which means it limits the longevity, okay? Which means how long the person will live or when the person dies, right? So one also needs to look at 8th house and 8th lord, right? And check the 3rd house, 3rd lord also in this aspect for longevity, okay? Do not just say that Saturn is sitting in Aries and assume that that person won't live long, which is a wrong assumption, okay? Do note that because it does restrict longevity here, but check the 8th house, 8th lord as well, right? So that's important. Now, do note that even if Saturn is debilitated here, and let's say Mars is exalted in Capricorn, then there is a Nicha Bhanga here, there is an exchange here, one way, even though it's two inimical planets, bad planets, so that longevity thing won't be an issue anymore because of reversal. If Jupiter aspects it, it's a big blessing on that as well. Okay, so that's really important that you know to understand other issues along with this as well. Okay, now if Saturn is placed here, see in your chart which houses Saturn owns. So which means it's debilitated here. Let's say Saturn owns Aries ascendant. Saturn owns 10th and 11th. Saturn sitting here, 10th and 11th, without a Jupiter aspect, will give delays in job, delays in getting money and settling in the job, will make the person break careers. All those things would be seen as well. Okay, so it's important to know what houses he owns, which ascendant when he's placed here. So, okay, but I said if Jupiter or Venus is either conjunct or aspect, definitely the Saturn will do well. But somewhere, if the conjunction happens, the Venus would lose energy, Jupiter would lose energy as well. So the best way is Jupiter aspecting the Saturn through a 5th or a 9th aspect without losing energy. Okay. So that's about Saturn here. The next one is, I would say, is North Node Rahu, right? Rahu does very well in Aries. So Rahu does very well in the 5+2 houses, which is Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, and Capricorn. Okay? I repeat again, Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, and Capricorn, plus the 2 houses, which is Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay, or Jupiter houses. So Rahu does very well here, provided it is a house of 3, 6, at least 3, 6, 10, 11 houses, the Upachaya houses, right? And provided the house owner Mars is friendly to the ascendant, right? House owner Mars is friendly to the ascendant, and provided Mars is also placed very well. Okay? So these are the important things to note. So Parashara says always is a benefic like Jupiter or Venus aspecting this Rahu is a great blessing. Okay? So something important to note as well. So Rahu sitting here, right, is very strong. Should not be aspected by Mars, should not be aspected by Saturn. I always say this, right? Mars should be placed well, but should not aspect this Rahu. Saturn should not aspect this Rahu. Then this Rahu will give very bad results. Okay? So do understand that. Okay? So the bad results also could be something like addictions and stuff like that. Okay? Now, if Jupiter or Venus is aspecting this Rahu, then this is great. Now, Ketu overall does very well in 3, 6, 10, 11 houses. And the houses are starting from Virgo, then you have Scorpio, then you have Aquarius, then the 2 houses I would say are Sagittarius and Pisces. So 5 houses. So Ketu doesn't really do that well here. Okay, if Ketu is placed here, it has to have an aspect of Jupiter. Okay, usually a fifth or the ninth aspect. Now conjunction is also okay, right? Conjunction is also okay, provided Jupiter is well placed in the Navamsa. Okay, and house owner Mars also has to be placed well, but I would say should not aspect this Ketu. Okay, and usually Ketu placed here with this kind of things, the results will come very slowly. It's like slow and steady win the race kind of a thing, right? But doesn't give bad issues if Jupiter is aspecting it. Otherwise, there are issues in decision making. Okay, there are wrong decisions, wrong things will happen. So that is something very important. So always I would say a Jupiter or even a Venus is fine, but a Jupiter is always the best for Ketu here. Okay, so I think I'm done with the 9 planets. I'm trying to think if I have missed anything. And maybe if there is missed anything, I'll probably answer in the Q&A, right? So, all right, I am done, and I'll open the floor to questions. Kushita, are you there?
Yeah, Srini, I'm here.
Okay, so I'm done from my end.
Okay. So, hand raising is now on. But before we go to people in the audience, I'm just gonna go through the PTR order. Scarlett, hi. Do you have any questions? Oh, Scarlett just left the room. Hi, Ange. Ange, hi. Do you have any questions?
No questions. Just helping out.
Great. All right. Hey, Pritesh.
Hey, Kushita. No, Srini, I'm just listening.
Great.
Okie doke. Hi, Marjorie.
Hi. No, I'm listening as well. Thank you.
Okay. Teresa, are you there? Do you have any questions?
Bad reception here. Sorry, no questions.
No problem. Okay, so I guess now we come to the real questions. Hi, Krishna.
Hi, Kushita. Hi, Srini. Good evening in the US. Good morning for the rest of the
Hi.
year. Hi. So, Srini, this is this chart which I've seen where I see that there is a sun sitting. There is a sun which is there in the Aries, but around the sun there is a Mars somewhere at 0, and the sun is, I think, at 3 degrees or something, and there is a Venus on 6. So I just wanted to understand whether all these planets are combust because of the sun right in the middle, or only the sun itself is combust. I couldn't understand what is the meaning of this, because this person shows no leadership ability or nothing which is indicative of a Mars in its own placement in Aries. This person is a very soft person, so I am not able to understand what does it mean in this particular.
Great question. So sun is never combust. Okay, sun is never combust. Sun is only combust when Rahu and Ketu comes. Okay, when Rahu and Ketu comes, then the problem is sun is combust. We call it as eclipse. Okay, otherwise sun doesn't have a problem with the other 7 planets. So number 1. Now, this person, whoever it is, probably I think is first in a team P ascendant. Is that fair to say? And it's a bad placed house. I don't think he can be a team A ascendant.
No, he is a team A. It's a Leo ascendant.
So Leo ascendant, sun sitting in the 9th with Venus and with Mars. Okay, so whose Mahadasa is running? Is it a team B Mahadasa again?
No, it's a Jupiter Mahadasha, so it's a team A again.
Okay, where is Jupiter placed?
In Virgo in 2nd.
So Jupiter is placed in Virgo in 2nd house. Okay, fair enough. And is Saturn aspecting this house? This Saturn somewhere sitting aspecting this house.
Jupiter is sitting along with a moon which has, I think, 3 days away from a full moon, and it is sitting with the Saturn in 2nd house.
Okay, so Jupiter is sitting with Saturn in the 2nd house. Okay, so and where is Mercury sitting? Is it in Pisces or in
Pisces? Debilitated in Pisces. Debilitated in Pisces.
Okay, so first what you see here is Mercury is not debilitated because Mercury and Jupiter are Parivartana Yoga. Okay?
Okay.
Number 1, Mercury and Jupiter are in Parivartana Yoga. Number 1. Now the important point is, Jupiter goes back to the 8th house when it runs its Mahadasa. Okay?
How 8th house? I didn't really understand.
Okay, how 8th house? Because Jupiter and Mercury have exchanged houses. Do you see that? Jupiter is sitting in Virgo, Mercury is sitting in Pisces.
Okay.
And Jupiter is running its Mahadasa from 8th house. Do you see that? So in a Parivartana Yoga, when the Mahadasa Antardasa comes, both of them will go to their own houses of exchange. Okay?
Yeah, got it. They go to own exchange house.
Correct. Now, the important point is, I don't know when you started this session, when you joined. I said importantly that even Sun in Aries, Mars in Aries stuff is a problem, it's not good. Unless they get dignified. I don't know if you listened or you were there when I said this.
Yeah, I listened.
Okay, did you hear what I said when I started? Sun, even though it's sitting here exalted, Mars sitting here exalted is a good position, but not a great position, because the leadership qualities comes only through dignification. Okay? The dignification is not here. Okay? Now, what has happened is, your Venus has probably got combust in this process. Okay? So, the Sun will get a little better in dignification because of Venus combust, but your Venus is gone. Okay? The Venus is gone and the process is it's combust. That's the way it is, right? Your Venus is combust here. So, now what happens is, couple of things. Number one, when Jupiter Mahadasa is running, that Jupiter is aspected by Saturn sitting in the 2nd house along with Moon and Mercury.
Correct.
There are 3 planets running this Mahadasa of Jupiter. Now, Saturn, right? Saturn sitting in the 2nd. Saturn sitting in the 2nd would typically give delays in family. Issues around family. Okay? Now, what also would happen is, because it's the 8th house running, when Jupiter Mahadasa would have started, right, there would have been health issues first to start with. Okay? And place change, job change would have happened. Okay? And 8th house is not a great house at all, right? I always said this, among all the Mahadasas, the 8th Mahadasa is the most toughest one. It's not easy. The blessing is being a Leo ascendant, Jupiter also owns the 5th. Slowly the Jupiter Mahadasa progresses, you will see results coming a little bit better. Okay? But end of the day, as I always say, just because a malefic planet like Saturn exalted in Libra, Sun exalted in Aries, Mars exalted in Capricorn, doesn't give you leadership qualities. The dignification has to happen through a Jupiter aspect here. Now Venus is not dignified, Venus is combust, Venus is surrendered to Sun here. Venus has lost its energy, and all of these events, right? All of these events are happening in the 9th house here, right? In the 9th house here, and somewhere what happens is the house owner is also combust in this process, right? If you see the house owner, Mars is also combust in this process here. So what happens is, this person's later part of the Jupiter Mahadasha slowly will start seeing better results, but it will take time because Saturn aspect is there very strong from the 2nd.
the Saturn Mahadasha?
So when Saturn Mahadasha starts, Saturn will run from the second house. Okay? Saturn will run from the second house, and the house owner, the Mercury would be in Pisces, Jupiter would be here with Moon. So Saturn Mahadasha would start giving you a little bit better results because of the Jupiter and Moon conjunction depending on the degrees. Okay? I would always say for a Leo and a Cancer ascendant, Saturn Mahadasha is very bad. But in this case, Saturn is somewhat dignified through Jupiter and Moon here.
Saturn is better than Jupiter, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it'll get better. Because Saturn has dignified Jupiter, right? And this whole Saturn is being dignified by Mercury opposite sitting Mercury, and then Jupiter and Moon here. See, energy transfer happens.
From Jupiter and Moon. It has taken all the light from the Moon.
Exactly. Okay?
Interesting. Thank you. And Mars 4th and 8th aspect, is it of any relevance since we're...
So Mars sitting in Aries is not... Mars sitting in Aries would aspect Cancer and Scorpio. Right? So Mars gets strength in this process, right? But Mars is not aspecting this Jupiter or the Saturn here.
Okay, not with respect to this horoscope, any horoscope, the Mars 4th and 8th. And when Mars sits in first, let's say in Aries, it is looking into 7th, no? That is not very good, no, for marriage and all that.
It's not good. It's not good. That's when I said the Mars, and that's what, if you heard when I said, even planets like Mars sitting here or Sun sitting here, the exaltation Mula Trikona is not a great position. It has to be dignified. The dignification is much better than exaltation here in this case for malefic planets.
I have a relative who has a sun looking into an exalted Saturn, exalted sun looking into an exalted Saturn. And
that's a big problem.
He has all kinds of trouble.
That's a big problem. So in this case, what happens is, when an exalted sun is looking at an exalted Saturn, what usually happens in this case is the Saturn will overtake the sun here, regardless of the ascendant.
Thank you, Srini. No more questions. I think you can continue the PTR.
Thanks, Krishna. So I'm just going to reset the room. Hi guys, we're talking about Aries today, and this session is being recorded. So if you're uncomfortable, please feel free to leave the room. Also, please don't bring up any personal charts. For privacy reasons, we don't want to listen to anyone's personal details. We don't know who's recording. Also, I'm going to try and limit questions to only one per person at a time. So if you have a second question, I'll come back to you. So make sure you think through your question before you ask them. Just trying to be respectful for everyone else, because people sometimes end up waiting 2 hours just to ask their questions. So, hi, Dr. Achyut, do you have a question?
Hi, Krishna. Thank you. Yes, I do have a question. Hi, Srini. The question I had was, say hypothetically, in a person's chart, a moon is placed in Aries, and it is very well placed, a waxing moon with an aspect of Jupiter, etc. and etc. But then in the Navamsha, the moon is placed with Rahu. So would this be a good placement or would this be a bad placement? How to assess this?
So moon is placed with Rahu in the Navamsha is not good, but one needs to see what is that house. What house we talking? Is it the Scorpio? What
Leo.
house in Navamsha? So moon in Leo is okay, but Rahu in Leo is a little bit bad here, right? So this is not really a great placement here overall, okay? Moon in Leo is fine, but sitting with Rahu in the Navamsha will affect whatever house that Leo house is in the D1 chart to an extent, okay? But this is only one way of checking the strength. You also have to look at the other ways of what I have said. I have broken down the several ways of how you break down the strength of the moon, right? So you have to check all of that to see whether how that moon will be. Just not one way of saying Navamsha here, okay?
Okay, so I just wanted to know if a well-placed planet is there in D1 chart, and if it is not well placed in D9, how to look at that? Would it be a moderate placement?
So there is a lot of effort needs to be put in to get the result. That's the way it was in the D9.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of effort has to be put in for getting the result.
This is generally for any planet, right? Any planet which is well placed in D1 but not so well placed in D9.
Correct. But you're only comparing D1 and D9 here. But you have to compare other aspects also into that which comes into play. Basically, for example, dignification, the Sapta Varga chart I mentioned at the start of the thing, the 7 charts, the Sthana Bala, the Big Bala, I mentioned it as well through the Shat Bala concept. All those things have to be layered. See, it's like peeling the onions. To go to that, you keep on peeling layer after layer after layer, right? That's the way if you look at even for Lucy and Will, when you want to predict them, that's how you would do that as well. Yeah, so you just cannot say that, Lucy will do great, Will do great just by looking at one thing, one placement in the chart. You would have to look at several ways, but overall I can tell you, if you just compare D1 and D9, then there has to be put in a lot of effort to get to that, the fruit. That's the way it is, yeah?
And if it is a vice versa, if the D1 is debilitated and if in the D9 it is exalted, say?
So initially, there will be a lot of challenges. Initially, as you start putting effort, the results will start coming very well. Slowly it will start coming in the latter part. So that's how it is.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi Satish, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Krishna. Hello, Srini.
Hi, how are you?
Hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
Fine. So, I wanted to ask that I heard that Mars with Venus makes someone, with a very less character, something like that. So, does it also...
Say that again. Sorry, say that again. Mars with Venus, what?
Mars and Venus, whenever the Shukra and so Mars and Venus are together, so character of the person is not very great.
No, not true. Not true. I don't know who said that to you, but I don't think it's true.
So someone told me that whenever these both planets are together, he might have an external affair or something like that.
So let me tell you. Let me explain. Let me explain what it is. Mars and Venus combination. So I was explaining to a few people yesterday in the room, in a separate room discussion. Look at Earth, okay? Take Earth as a center, right? The first planet to the left of the Earth is Venus. The first planet to the right of the Earth is Mars, okay? From astronomical perspective, right? Mars is the first planet to the right. Venus is first planet to the left, and Moon is revolving around the Earth here. Okay, this process. When the Mars and the Venus energy combines, what happens is there is a strong need for the opposite pair for them. Okay, so one needs to see where this placement is placed. Okay, so for example, I'm just giving an example. Okay. For example, if this placement happens in Virgo, then it's a little bit bad placement. Okay, because Venus gets debilitated in Virgo and Mars is in an inimical house here. Okay, now if this placement happens in the house of Sagittarius, which is exactly opposite to what I said for Virgo earlier, there is dignification happening for Mars and Venus here. Okay, if this placement happens in the house of Libra, dignification happens for Mars, because Mars gets dignified not only with Venus but Libra, but able to access his own house or aspect his own house, which is Aries here. So the point here is what happens is, depending on which houses, and I have seen certain energy houses as well, something like Taurus, something like Libra, this person has usually a love affair. Okay, a love affair. Maybe that's what I think you're trying to say. Now, there is a exception here. When it's with Rahu, or when Saturn throws an aspect on this Mars and Venus, okay? then there are issues around it with multiple affairs happening and breakages happening. Okay? Somewhere, Rahu comes into this mix as a conjunction. Then secret affairs will be happening. Multiple secret affairs parallelly. Saturn, break, start, break, start. Rahu comes into the picture, multiple parallel tracks happening. That's the way it is. But usually, I have seen that these people get into an affair before marriage. Now, if the 5th, 7th Lord or Jupiter aspects comes into play, would end up marrying the same person. Okay?
Yes, correct.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
So you may want to check the other aspect on this, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Satish. I'm trying to bring you up, but I think there are some glitches. So can you try leaving the room and then coming back, and I'll send you an invite to come speak. So, Kanag, hi, do you have a question?
Thanks, Krushita. Srini, thanks for the chance. I have a question.
Hi.
Hi. So, the thing is, it's a generic question. For Aries ascendant, Mars is the Lagna Lord. So, it should be in 4, 7, 10, or it can be even in Trikona, 5, 1, 5, 9. Because as a Lagna Lord, it can be a benefic, right? So, they say for a malefic plan, it should be in 4, 7, 10.
So the way I say, see, Lagna Lord, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Lagna Lord, what you said is all correct, but Mars is also a natural malefic. Mars is also a owner of the 8th house, which is a bad house, right? So the challenge here is Mars, when placed in the 4th house, being the Lagna Lord, gets debilitated. Okay? And only if Moon is in Scorpio or Moon is in Aries, there's a Parivartana Yoga here, or Jupiter is aspecting with the Mars, or Jupiter is with Mars in Cancer, then it's saved. Or Venus is also in Mars with Cancer, then it's saved. Otherwise, there is a problem here. You don't want to have Mars in the 4th house, okay? You don't want to have, because it gets debilitated. 7th house is very bad, because you are having Mars going to the 7th, and so it always gives issues with marriage, even being in this case. The 10th house is fine. Mars gets strengthened, dignified thing. Okay, so that's fine. But 4 and 7 is very bad. I would never have malefics come to the 5th and the 9th. I would never encourage that. Okay? Where I would say that Mars can be is in friendly houses somewhere. So 10th house is fine, it's exalted. And usually malefic planets to be placed in 3, 6, 10, 11 in friendly houses. 3 and 6 are bad because of Mercury ownership here. 10 is fine because of exaltation, 11 is bad. So 10th house is a very good placement. If at all you want to have Jupiter house Sagittarius, 9th is okay. Otherwise, no. I would not say any other house. Okay?
What about 5th house? Leo is also a friend house, right?
Correct. But so here is what Parashara says, right? Leo is a friend house. So malefics in the 5th is a very bad position because it also alters your Purva Punyasthana. Okay? Mars sitting in the 11th, aspecting 1st is okay. But in this case, 11th is Aquarius, an inimical sign. That's why I didn't say it. But Mars, usually the 11th is a good position. So for take an example, Cancer ascendant. Mars sitting in the 11th would be in Taurus, would be aspect, which is a neutral sign. But aspect his own house, Scorpio there, 5th house, which is great. But for a Cancer ascendant, Mars sitting in Scorpio is bad. So same thing what happens here in the Leo. So let me explain to you. So there are 4 houses. There are 4 signs called barren signs. Okay? The barren signs are Aries is a barren sign. I forgot to say that. Aries is a barren sign. Then Virgo is a barren sign. Gemini is a barren sign. Leo is a barren sign. What happens is, because it's a barren sign, to get pregnant and have a child is a challenge when this comes as a 5th house. So when Aries comes as your 5th house, Leo comes as your 5th house, etc., right? That is the first check. Having child is a problem. There is a delay or a problem, number one. Now on top of it, you have a malefic coming and sitting there. Be it Saturn, be it Mars, be it Rahu. 3 planets, any one, all 3 sitting, will block the kid. Okay? Now what happens is, being a natural malefic, it is going to block the kid. Okay? Being a Lagna owner, right, and being sitting in the front, somewhat would try to give, but will still give a problem. So usually, multiple attempts are created or done before a baby is born. Okay? Usually when Mars sits in the 5th house. And what happens after multiple attempts, the first few attempts, the child may not live or whatever happens, doesn't go through. Eventually when it comes, the first child comes with so great difficulty that that more than likely it will be a female child also. Don't be a male child example. Okay? So that is what I'm saying is, it's not about male versus female here. It's the fact is, getting a child becomes a problem when you have a malefic sitting in the 5th. And when that 5th house is a barren sign, it's a problem. Now, take for example this person's sun, right? The 5th lord goes and sits in another barren sign. Okay, which is Gemini or Virgo. It's another problem because the lord is also going there. Now, Jupiter goes and sits in another barren sign. Gemini and Virgo not able to aspect this one, the 5th house. Then it's a sure guarantee that the person is not going to have a child here. So you got to think through this because that's the challenge. If that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, got it. But what happens like if Sun and Venus is not a friend? If suppose Venus sits in the Leo for the Aries ascendant, that also since it's a barren sign.
See, I thought we spoke about one question, right?
I know, Srini, but
no worries. Yeah, okay.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you again. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm a little tired of being the bad guy here and asking people to just stick to one question. I mean, people should understand. I'm sorry, Kanak. I'm like not saying this just specifically to you, but look, Srini is doing this not for money. Like, I'm putting in my own personal time. So please, people, if you can just keep one question. It's not easy to moderate, okay? And then we have other people who come and tell us how to do our jobs. So please have some consideration for us, for Srini, and
sorry for that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just think through your question, like Kushita mentioned. Think through your question in a way that you can get the best answer out as well, right? Because I'm only going to answer the way you ask your question, and I will come back to you again. Yeah. So thank you, please. Thanks, Kushita.
Hi, Ramya. Do you have a question?
Hi, Kushita. Hi, Srini. It was mentioned in the starting, like you mentioned, if it's an Aries moon sign is Aries and Aries ascendant, the person doesn't think by his or her own brain and always follows or jumps into action. So does this condition improve by any aspect? Suppose the planet of wisdom, Jupiter is watching moon from Leo or Libra. I mean, if he watches from Libra, it makes a Gajkesi yoga. So when Jupiter watches moon, so does this improve the condition of moon? And probably Aries moon sign, people may think from their brain and they might be able to take better decisions. Does this happen in any case?
Absolutely correct. So, hi, Ramya. I did mention this, right? I mentioned when moon is alone here in Aries, sometimes they would do fast actions, fast movement. But I mentioned that even if Jupiter is aspecting it or Venus is aspecting it, then absolutely correct. I did mention it. Okay? I did mention this where wisdom comes first through this process. Okay? And one more thing, so yes, to answer your question, absolutely correct. The Jupiter aspect will change the whole game here. The other important thing I do want to clarify to you, Ramya, here is that so that is your answer. Second is moon sitting in Aries, Jupiter sitting in the 7th is not Gajakesari Yoga. Do understand that. The Gajakesari Yoga means you also have to have another benefit like Mercury or Venus sitting with moon or Jupiter or in a Kendra Franda. There is a rule. Okay? So just because Moon and Jupiter are opposite to each other, don't think it's a Gaj or in Kendra to each other. See, Moon and Jupiter are conjunct to each other. It's called Guru Chandra Yoga. Okay? If Moon and Jupiter are conjunct, it's called Guru Chandra Yoga. If Moon and Jupiter are in Kendra to each other, people think it is Gajakesari. It is not unless you have Venus or Mercury as the third pillar supporting this Moon and Jupiter in a Kendra or a conjunction to them. That is Gajakesari Yoga.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ramya. Hi, Ashutosh.
Hello. I'll give you a method. If Ketu is in Lagna and then studies of that person will hamper somehow, and also there are great chances that once in lifetime that particular person will attempt suicide. Specifically, there will be great chances if Ketu is in Lagna will have and that have any association with Mars, like aspect or house of Mars, Aries or Scorpio, I suppose. Yes. Is it true?
Are you asking me? So you're asking me, is it true or not, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I know several people who have Ketu in Lagna and Ketu with Lagna with Mars. I know people also. Okay. It doesn't give that. It doesn't give that. Number one. Okay. What it gets. So when end of the day, this has to, whatever the Ketu effect of Mars sitting in Lagna has to come in its Mahadasa. Number one. Right? When the Mahadasa comes, it will be a challenging Mahadasa. It will give you a lot of mental stress. Parashara says the way it is as Maraka-like events, death-like events, right? Those kind of stress will come. But don't take into a guarantee that it will give you something like as what you mentioned about giving suicide and etc. No. Okay? Now if Jupiter is aspecting the 7th, no way.
Mental issues also.
So I said mental stress will be there. But the Mahadasa has to come, no? The Mahadasa has to come. See, if the Mahadasa is not there, you're not going to see it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? The Mahadasa has to come. See, everything the Mahadasa has to come.
Very right.
Yeah?
That's right.
Thanks, Ashutosh. Hi, V.
Okay.
Hi, Kushika. Hi, Srini. Just a really quick question, Srini. So Mars is not a good, friend to Libra, right?
Mars is not a good what?
So it's Team A.
Correct. Mars is Team A.
So why is it that on my parashara's chart, why does it show Mars as being friend?
Friend with whom?
For me. Well, it shows it as being a friend to my chart.
So what happens is a couple of things, right? Mars is neutral. So let me explain. There are two ways how you break it down. Okay? One way is the way I mentioned Team A and Team B, general. Mars and Venus are neutral to each other. Okay? So they're neutral, which means hi, bye. Okay? Now, if you go and check the placement of Mars with respect to Venus in your chart, okay? They will be somewhere in the houses of 10, 11, 12 or 2, 3, 4 to each other. Okay?
So it's in the 6th house.
No. With each other. Okay, so you take Mars position, whichever house it is. Okay? So let's take Mars is in Pisces. Venus will be in 10, 11, 12 to Pisces or 2, 3, 4 to Pisces.
Okay.
Then that planet is a temporary friend. So I kind of explained the other day in the session. One is natural friendship, natural things which I explained, the Team A, Team B thing, typically. Then there is a temporary friendship which is happening through your chart placement, how they are placed. There is a temporary effect. So, for example, Libra ascendant. Take an example. Libra ascendant. Saturn is a yoga karaka. But Saturn is a natural malefic also. So, for an ascendant, it will change a little bit. So, the same way the placement happens now, because of this, Venus and Mars become temporary friends. It's called temporary friend. So, a temporary friend plus a friend, or plus neutral in this case, equal to a friend. So another example, if they would have been good friends, good friend plus now a temporary friend will be a very good friend. Okay? If they are enemies, let's say Mars and Mercury, and even they are badly placed here, great enemy. So it will give you a breakdown like that. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you, Srini.
You're welcome.
Thanks, V. Hi, Rajesh. Rajesh, are you there? Okay, we'll move on to...
Rajesh, hi. Yeah, I think Rajesh is in mute.
Yeah. Okay, he's not there. We'll come back to him. But Scarlett, Teresa, did you think of any other questions in the meantime?
No, I don't. I'm just listening. Thank you. No, but thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, Kanag.
Yeah, so he was telling about the fifth, I was just asking about 4, 7, 10 and 1, 5, 9. So even though if Venus is malefic, if it is in the Leo house, it is in a good placement like 5. For Aries, correct. It is opposite, right? So that's what I was just want to ask.
No. So Venus, even though sitting in Leo house, inimical house, but it's a trine. So the trinal energy gives strength through the Venus, and Venus will dignify this Leo house. Okay, Leo house. And let's say Sun is dignified by Jupiter somewhere. This person has the ability to go to politics and higher positions or government jobs and government stuff. Okay? And Venus would also help, because Venus is sitting in Leo, will dignify Leo house. Being a barren sign also would help in fertility. Because Venus is automatically a fertile planet. Okay? So, versus Mars sitting would block fertility. That is where you have to understand the natural benefit through principles of light. Okay?
Yeah, okay. That's thanks for that. That's because since it is a natural benefit, but it is it is opposite to it doesn't like sun, right? So that's why.
Correct. But it will dignify the house. It will dignify the house end of the day. It will dignify Leo house. Right? It will dignify Leo house. It will lose its strength in this dignification process, but it will dignify the house. But trines do very well in the benefics, do very well in the trines. Malefics are very bad.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Welcome.
Thanks, Kanag. Hi, Rajesh. Are you there? Do you have a question?
Hi, Krishna. Morning. No, I'm just listening and learning. Thank you.
Hi, Rajesh.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Good morning. All good. How are you?
Good. So, great session as always. So, trying to learn a few things from you.
No, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh. Hi, Anuj.
Hello, Srini.
Hi.
I want to ask about conjunction of Jupiter, Venus, and Rahu in Tula Lagna.
So we are focusing on Aries here, and you are going to another ascendant. When we come to Libra, we can discuss this. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem. We're focusing on Aries, yeah?
Okay.
Mesha. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thanks Anuj. Hi, Rajak Shravan.
हेलो मैम. हेलो सर.
Hi.
सर मैं हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ?
I think to be cognizant for people, please can you speak in English, because for the sake of people across other countries, we have to be cognizant as well for them to learn.
Yes.
Try. It's okay. That's how you learn English also, yeah?
Yes. So, if Mars in a 10th house and Jupiter in 4th house and Jupiter is retrograde, so what is the benefic and malefic effect on the men?
See, Mars in the 10th, so Jupiter in the 4th and Mars in the 10th would aspect each other. Okay, and they are both natural friends. Mars in the 10th gets deep bala, directional strength. So Mars will tend to actually give you very good in the professional strength. Okay, professional way, it will give you a lot of strength. Okay, but Jupiter aspects with dignifies this Mars. But one needs to see which house is this 10th house here, right? To see what kind of result and whose Mahadasa one is running.
10th house is Kumbh, Aquarius, Kumbh, and 5th house is Lion. What? Leo.
Okay, not just the 4th house is Leo. Okay, you're saying 4th house is Leo. So Taurus, Taurus ascendant. That means Taurus ascendant. 4th house is Leo, Jupiter is retrograde, and 10th house Mars is Aquarius is not a great thing, right? Mars is in Aquarius, which is an air sign here, right? Mars doesn't do well in Aquarius at all. Mars does well in a Capricorn as exalted. Aquarius is not good. So that Mars is placed bad, even though the 10th. And it's in the house of Saturn. So it will make you work very hard, right? Work very, very hard. But Jupiter dignification helps this Mars to get you some good results. But the Saturn Aquarius will still make you work hard. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Shravan. Hi, Marjorie. Do you have a question? Marjorie, are you there? Okay, we'll move on to Dr. Harun. Hi, do you have a question?
Yes, Namaste. Hi, everyone. Hi, Srini.
Hi.
Thank you so much for sharing your divine knowledge. I always enjoy listening to you. It's great. So my question is, for Aries ascendant, retro Mars is in the 2nd house, and having Parivartan Yoga with Venus from the 8th house.
Can you go a little bit slowly, please?
Oh, yeah.
Go
so
ahead.
Aries ascendant.
Okay.
Retro Mars is in the 2nd house.
Retro Mars in the 2nd house, okay.
Having Parivartan Yoga with Venus in the 8th.
2nd, 8th, okay. Okay, 2-8 combination, okay.
Mm-hmm. So during the Mars Mahadasha, I was thinking about, I was just curious about your input, because you mentioned about, during the Mars Mahadasha, the Mars will act like in the 8th house.
Correct. Mars will go back to its Scorpio, and Venus will go back to in the Mars Mahadasha or Venus Mahadasha. Venus will come to Taurus, Mars will come back to Scorpio.
Mm-hmm. So I was curious about, because retro Mars, I was thinking about the health issues, right? So the Mars being in the 8th house, would it make it better because being malefic in the 8th house? Or
malefics don't do well in the 8th. So malefics don't do well in the 8th because it aspects the 2nd.
Right. But when you say during the Mars Mahadasha, Mars will go to the 8th house.
Correct.
And the Venus will go. So that's what I was thinking about, the health issues.
Correct. So the health issues will come. But because Venus is aspecting this Mars, would dignify this Mars. So you will also get remedy in this process.
I see. And the Jupiter is also expecting the 8th house.
Okay, so the 8th house is naturally dignified in this process. So the health remedy will come. But if Saturn is also aspecting, it's a problem next.
Right, it's not expecting, yeah. The Saturn is not expecting.
Yes, so what happens is, being the ascendant lord, Jupiter aspect on the 8th house, Venus aspect on the 8th house is a big blessing. And when Mars Mahadasha starts, there is a change of place. It'll take you to a different place. Okay, a movement of place will happen.
What kind of place happened?
Change of place, change of location.
Oh, change of location. Because of the planets are changing, not related to 2nd and 8th house.
No. Because what happens is, so 8th house is moving away from your foreign country or home place, city.
Mm-hmm.
But Scorpio being a fixed sign, that the change is not a big change, but it's a change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Harun. Hi, Lalita. Welcome back.
Hi, Lalita.
Hi, Srini, Kushita.
Hi.
Any questions? Anything you'd like to add?
I didn't know Lalita was here before or what? I didn't even know that she was here.
No, I was here for a bit and then
sorry, I didn't realize.
The room, it just
Okay. Got it.
So I just came back, so I'll wait until others have asked.
No, it's your turn, Lalita.
I just want to get settled before I can ask him.
Sure, no problem.
I'm still buzzing from all the Hanuman Chalisa.
No problem. Which is Mars energy.
Mars energy.
Yeah, I was just saying that.
Exactly. I was like,
Mars energy.
I am having a buzz right now. Yeah.
Great. Okay, we'll go to Shubham. Hi, Shubham. Do you have a question?
Hi, Kushita. Hi, Shrini. Thanks for this.
Hi.
I've been following you for quite some time. And yeah, it's really great how you carry out the sessions. So my question is, am I audible correctly?
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, in case of Aries ascendant, if Shukra and Rahu is in Libra, so Venus and Rahu is in Libra, so what kind of Mahadasha, the Rahu, how the Rahu Mahadasha will go? In case of Aries ascendant, if Rahu and Venus is in Libra.
Okay, Rahu and Venus is in Libra. You'll have to see the conjunction of the degrees, right? Are they very close or far apart?
So Venus is at 11 degree and Rahu is at 19.
So Rahu is at 19 going towards Venus and Venus is going to 8 degrees. So there is the thing happening. Okay. So somewhere this Venus gets dignified. Not Venus, Rahu gets dignified. But the problem here is that it's a team A, team B thing. And is Jupiter aspecting this Rahu and Venus?
No, nobody is aspecting them except
even Saturn or Mars.
No, not even Saturn and Mars. Okay. Not even Saturn or Mars.
So your Rahu Mahadasha will be mixed. Okay, so one it will, when Rahu Mahadasha starts, because it's sitting in a strong sign, Libra, movable sign, very strong, and also 7th here. Okay, and it will make you move places. It'll make you move places. It's like not a small place, it's a big change of place. So it will do that. Okay, number one. Number two is your Rahu gets dignified to an extent with this Venus, but is also sitting in an inimical sign to an ascendant here, not very favorable. So your Rahu will be a little bit mixed bag. Okay, will also cause health issues in this case as well. Okay, will delay marriage and relationship as well. But in the Rahu Mahadasha will give, but will delay again, both.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Shubham.
You're welcome.
I see Pandit Gangadhar and Hemang have raised their hands, so I'm just bringing you on the stage.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Yes, hi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is regarding the this particular topic, all about Aries. So, are you the speaker are only concerned about the Lagna position or the moon position in Aries, or other positions also? Because I have a different bit of query regarding the Aries house specifically. So, can I ask that?
If it's about Aries house, please ask.
Yes. So actually, my Aries is at my 10th house has the Aries, and it has the.
Hi, sorry, I'm just gonna stop you there because you joined the room late. So I'm just gonna reset the room because a lot of people have joined in the past 30 minutes. So we are not doing any personal chart readings. So please keep your personal chart details to yourself for privacy reasons. And so if obviously we want to help people, so if you have a question, try and make it as vague as possible, but please don't give us your birth details or any specific positions in your chart.
I'm not going. So what is the significance of Aries in that 10th house, and if it has the Ketu in it?
So Ketu in 8 and Aries in the 10th house. As Aries 10th house.
No. Ketu is in the Aries.
Ketu is in Aries. Okay. So Ketu is in Aries, coming in the 10th, which means Rahu is sitting in Libra in 4th. Okay. Now Ketu in Aries doesn't do very well at all. But Ketu in the 10th gets somewhere stronger thing. So what happens is Ketu in the Aries has the ability to, depending on where Mars is placed, okay, depending on how Mars is placed, or if that Jupiter aspect is Ketu, then it can help you achieve what you want. If not, what happens is it gives you break in career. Okay, it gives you break in career, delay in careers, and it also makes you change career.
Yes, you are right.
Okay, so this is what would happen.
Okay.
See, Rahu does well in Aries. Ketu does not do well in Aries.
Okay. And if the Ketu is aspected by some malefic planet, then?
It depends which malefic. What are we talking? As aspected by Mars or Rahu?
Shani.
So that is a problem. So Saturn aspecting this Ketu would actually give you delays and obstacles in things what you want to achieve through your career front.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And being a debilitation sign, right? Being a debilitation sign and being 10th house means Cancer ascendant. Saturn is a very bad planet in this case. So that means Saturn has to be, somewhere sitting in Cancer or Saturn sitting in Libra, right? One of these houses Saturn has to be sitting. Okay, so or sitting in Aries itself. Not in Aries, Cancer or Libra. That's where it has to be. And Saturn is sitting in Libra is exalted there. Saturn sitting in Cancer is also not a good placement, being in the ascendant. So it gives you a struggle in the professional life in this process when Ketu comes there and Saturn aspects it. Okay? The way I would say is put a lot of energy and effort to think through this process of what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve in career, think through your head. Okay, because Ketu is that you don't have a head here and Saturn is obstacles and will delay it. So think through that very strategically for a long time. Think through that and then work on it after a lot of thought process. I always say that when Ketu is there and Saturn is aspecting, the best way to do it is think through it. use your head, ask people for help, take career guidance, work with your friends. As I mentioned earlier, Aries people, right? Aries people, the best way to survive for them, but even between the Ashwini Nakshatra, Bharani Nakshatra and Kritika here is like the goat head, with the goat always or the sheep always flock together. They never go alone. They will never go alone. So get that kind of a guidance through your friends where you can succeed, but think through that process much ahead and much in advance. Don't take hasty decisions. You will go wrong. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I don't see any more raised hands, and Srini, I think you have 15 more minutes, right? So if anyone has any questions, now is the time before I turn off hand raising.
Sure. We can turn out hand raising if people don't have any more questions, and I can answer general questions or general things, and we can close the room as well.
Okay.
But this is also the first time in my life in Clubhouse, being Mars energy, that we are able to finish fast, where action comes before thinking. People are not able to think well, I guess. Action comes faster than thinking, you see? The first time I've ever come to this. Interesting.
I noticed that too. It has been the theme throughout the past 2 hours. Okay, so keeping with Mars' speedy energy, I'll go to Yogendra ji. Hi, do you have a question?
Yeah, hello Sriviji, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
You were just discussing Ketu and Mars. So the query came to my mind that first is Ketu and Mars both are team A, 1. 2, as you said, Kujvat Ketu, and the characteristics or the nature of both the planets are similar. So why does Ketu in Aries, because Mars is the lord of the Aries, so why does Ketu affects adversely? Because all things appear, I mean, by nature, by their combination, why it acts adversely? Could you please let me know? Thank you very much.
Sure. Great question, right? Great question. So there is no one answer for me to give, but I'll have to break down this answer because it's an excellent question, Yogendra, and I'll break down the answer. See, what is Ketu? Ketu is just a body, no head, right? Ketu is a body, no head. So Ketu doesn't have a head, first thing.
Yeah,
right?
Correct. Yeah, it's a
Correct. What did I say in Aries? Aries people, very strong Aries here. They won't use their brain. They are about action. They won't even think. Okay? Ketu's energy is also very similar. There's no head, nothing to think. So it's all about action here. So the energy doesn't, see, that is when Jupiter wisdom comes in to support Aries here. Okay?
Yeah.
Sun is malefic. 50% benefic, 50% malefic. Sun's that 50% malefic energy gets reduced to become more benefic in Aries because of the Ashwini Nakshatra, which is the Kumaras of the head, where they cool the whole light here process.
Yeah.
Okay? This is one way of explaining, where Aries people are very fast moving people. They're all about action. They don't want to think. And Ketu is also not about thinking because there's no head here. So the problem is when Ketu comes here, adverse results you will get because you're not thinking, number 1. Okay?
Yeah.
Number 2, this is the logic. Number 2, I'll give you the second logic. The Rahu is called the north node, Ketu is called the south node. So anywhere between houses number 1 to 6, Rahu does very well. Within that, you have to understand what is the north node and south node, right? So the 1 to 6, Rahu does well if you look at Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Virgo. Literally 4 out of 6 houses Rahu will do very well. Okay? Ketu being south node, the 6th is the junction point because 6th is the Upachaya house. 3 is also Upachaya, but Ketu doesn't do well there because it's still part of the north node axis. The south node junction, north node junction meeting point is the 6th, 7th axis, right? And it's also Upachaya. So Ketu starts doing very well from Virgo. Okay? Okay. Virgo. That is where it starts. It doesn't come to before that. Now, what is also important is, if you understand some mythological story of Rahu Ketu. Rahu Ketu was one person called Svarbhanu who got moksha through Vishnu or Brahma's boon into two people. Okay? Rahu and Ketu. Yeah. So that means there is dual nature in that, which means dual houses will support Rahu Ketu of the dual nature. Among the dual houses, Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini. In all these four houses, Rahu Ketu will do very well in Jupiter houses, Sagittarius, Pisces, because of Jupiter energy. In Virgo, Rahu and Ketu will do very well. But in Gemini, Rahu doesn't do well, Ketu doesn't do well. Ketu is somewhat better than Rahu. Okay. Did I answer your question now with this logic?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Yogendra ji. Lalita, do you have anything to say? Any questions for Srini? Lalita, you're on
mute.
She might not be around.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Kushita?
I do have a question. So I think it was Satish or someone else who brought up the point about Mars and Venus being together. Well, his question was about whether the person will have bad character. My question is different. It has to do with career, or basically having enjoyment out of what you do for a living. So I have read that if Mars and Venus are together in either a fire sign or an air sign, then the person will love what he do. They will enjoy doing what they do for a living. And I just want to get your views on that.
See, it depends on what house it's going to own, right? That is also there, right? See, Mars and Venus, I explained astronomically how it is. Take Earth as a cross-section, right? And you have Moon rotating around the Earth as a satellite, but as a planet still. To the left-hand side, you have Venus. To the right-hand side, you have Mars. Two important energies here, right? And a neutron. So what happens in this case here is that there is North Pole, South Pole kind of the thing, energies, right? So they go well in that case, right? The thing is Mars is the second highest form of, or the form of masculine energy. Okay, Venus is the form of feminine energy after the moon. After sun, you have here. Okay, so what happens in this case is, there is a lot of energy, love energy, sex energy, you can think, all coming through this interaction. Now, depending on which ascendant, who wants what, which house, and where they are placed would change the whole game. Okay, that is the way I would say. So for example, I'll try to give an example, generic way without getting into any details. Okay, so let's take the example of Leo ascendant. Okay, Leo ascendant, Mars owns 4th house, 9th house. Okay, and Venus owns 3rd house and 10th house. Let's take, for example, this conjunction is happening in 11th house. There is in the 11th house, this conjunction is happening, which means it's exactly opposite to the 5th. Okay, so there is romance indicated for this person. Number one, would love money as well, would be attached to the elder siblings. All those things comes into this place. So you have to understand which house and where it's happening. Based on the natural karakas, other than natural karakas, you have to understand the bhavatvas and where the placement is happening. Okay?
Got it. So my question was not just, like, it was very general. It wasn't just about the D1 chart. I perhaps, if that combination comes up in the D9 or the D10.
D10 are derivatives, right? They don't have life. You have to correlate back from the D1 only. You cannot look D9, D10 separately at all. Then you make a mistake. So So we'll do a session one day on this D9 interpretation as well. But you can never, the challenge is we'll have to have a Zoom session because we can't do it and we'll have to figure out a Zoom and a Clubhouse. We can't just do it in this one. But we'll look into see how to do that. But I don't, because you cannot go into that without understanding the D1 and the D9 together. Then you go wrong.
Got it, Srini. No problem. Okay, so hand raising is turned off, but does anyone else have any final burning question for Srini? If not, then Srini, any final words and then we can close the room.
I'm okay. So thank you guys. Thank you for attending and thank you for some of the great questions and acknowledgements as well. Appreciate all the support and feedback. We'll be continuing to do about all other houses as well. We've done already Cancer, Aries. So follow the Vedic Astrology Club and follow myself, the moderators as well, as you get notifications as well. And, thank you for being a little bit cognizant around one question per person. As you see that, Kushita managed to make sure that she came back again to you with the questions as well, right? So this is just being cognizant of everybody else in the room as well, right? So that all of us get a chance to discuss the things and, keeping in mind that without discussing personal charts is also very important as well. Yeah, so thank you for really following up with some of these rules. It's only to make this a better, I would say, a place for all of us to have an ecosystem where we can discuss in a friendly way and understand the things because we just don't know what's happening in this room, right, without our knowledge. So we want to be cognizant about that as well, right? And I really appreciate all of you guys coming in as well. So be tuned because we will be doing a session. Today's Tuesday, right? So we'll be doing a session tomorrow on Gemini, right? So everything about Gemini similar to this. I'm already very fascinated with all of your guys' comments and feedback and, all the questions you kind of asked as well. Just give me some time because as I mentioned, I'm a little bit overwhelmed with a lot of questions and comments and asking, people with email and comments. I just need some time to come back to you on that. So I really appreciate that as well. And I just wanted to say thank you to Kushita, who has been helping all along with the moderation as well as one person. So please do flash your mics to thank her as well in support of the moderation because otherwise it becomes very challenging for me. So I thank Kushita and thanks everybody in the speakers and great discussions as well. So clearly we saw that in the session today. We were very well on time or even much earlier because the energy comes out, the energy plays out regardless of what we agree or not, right? You can see the energies in this process of how Mars energy came here that probably we would always overrun by half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, and we have to do a kind of a hard stop. So today is probably the first time in my session that we kind of finished much earlier or way earlier for me to even, discuss further from my personal observation as well. But thank you. So wait and come in for tomorrow for the Gemini. And then Thursday, we are planning to do book session as well in Clubhouse and Zoom. And then Friday, I'll plan to do probably on Taurus as well. So we'll complete this. And then Sunday, we are planning to do on Sun Mahadasa next. So we have finished Ketu Mahadasa, Venus Mahadasa. And then I still have pending on the nakshatras, the final nakshatras which I do. So we have done the Ketus and we have done the Venus, not the Venus, my mistake. Ketu and Mercury we have done. We have to finish the other 7. So we will complete the other trinal nakshatras by all three nakshatras together. So that is to come. And I know people have asked about Navamsha thing. How do you read the Navamsha? So my one day feedback is that I would need a Zoom and a Clubhouse session to do that. I can't do it in Zoom because I know I'll fail miserably. Mainly because in Clubhouse, it's audio, you can't see what I'm saying. So we'll have to figure out a session around that and we'll have to do it on a Clubhouse and Zoom session. So more to come on that because I need to think through some examples and stuff and the whole way of how to do that, which will be meaningful and relevant to all of you. So kindly bear with me and I'll figure out a way. I think I'm done. Kushita or Lalita, any other question?
Thanks, Srini. No questions from me. And thank you for acknowledging. Lalita, did you have anything to say or ask?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, Srini.
Great. Thanks so much. So
one last thing, we are having a session on Nakshatra session also in the boot camp. Lalita, you want to go ahead and speak about that also, please?
So today, thank you, Srini. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about the Nakshatra boot camp. It's something that I'm running for 81 days. It's divided into 3 27-day blocks. We finished the first 27-day block, which is mostly about the mythology and the stories of the nakshatras. The next 27-day block is about the different grahas and how to interpret how they will act there. For example, what does it mean if you have like Mercury in Rohini, second pada? And instead of memorizing, I'm trying to train people to imagine and visualize it with the help of the stories that we told in the first 27-day block. And we'll be in Rohini today. We finished 3 nakshatras in the second block. So today is Rohini. That's at 8 p.m. California time. And at 7 o'clock today, in about 16 minutes, in the Ashram Club, we're having the Shakti Files. We spoke about Shiva, Sati, and the burning of Kameshwara. And we're talking about the 65th name in Lalita Sahasranamam. And what does it really mean? The Ashura, Bandashura, and how Devi slays him. So that's at 7. And after that, we're immediately starting Rohini. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lalita. Okay.
Thank you, Lalita.
Sorry, go ahead, Srini.
Go ahead, Krishna. Go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying, so if there's nothing, I will close the room and I'll remark that we actually finished the Q&A and the actual session, the substantive part of the session, 7-8 minutes before time. So just a remark. But if you have anything to say, please go ahead and then I'll close the room.
No, I'll just finish my last prayer for the day. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a question off topic? Really quick? No?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So if no meat is best, why does Parashara say that we can offer meat and rice to the grahas?
Parashara, I don't think says we can offer meat to the grahas. Who says that?
Isn't it in Parashara?
No.
I think I read that.
No, I would be happy to see the screenshot. I don't think I have seen it at all. And I don't think he's ever said that. He's the remedies he has said is, for example, to give goat. For example, goat usually comes for this Rahu, Ketu or Mars. He says as charity. And charity. Giving goat is charity to certain places. We call it as Goshala and stuff. It can be a temple or all those people. And then, for example, for Moon or Venus, let's say it's called tawny colored buffalo. For Mars, it's a red bull. For Saturn, it's a black colored male buffalo kind of a thing, right? So he's very clear on those things, and I have not. This is the first time I'm hearing it. I have read it many times, but I could have missed it the way you're telling me, but I don't recollect that at all.
Okay. If I find it, maybe I misread, but I'll show it to you.
Sure.
If it's there.
He's giving it as a remedy, and not by killing it, by donation to a certain place so that they'll take care of it on that thing. Probably that's what I think. So nothing as sacrifice or nothing as giving to those planets. No, there is no killing. And all the books says very clearly, all the books, including if you read Varahamira's Brihajataka and other lot of books, all goes one principle is, if you want to live longer, if you find somebody who's having a lot of health issues, be it cancer or whatever it is, step 1, avoid eating meat. Because if you are pleading for your life, you are begging for your life to live longer, or whoever it is, do not kill animals. Because you are taking animal one side and killing, and then you want to live longer. It's not going to work. Okay, so first step is to avoid having meat, seafood, all those animals food basically.
Okay, thank you, Srini.
That's that. But I would love if you can send me a screenshot or something what you're asking. I probably think the way I understand it's a misinterpretation, but I can tell you from what I don't think none of these books of astrology says about that. Any of these books also from what I've read. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, Kushita, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead. If that is all.
Yeah, I just thought I'll say a prayer. Thanks again. I'll just send a prayer and we can close the session for today. And this is a recorded session as well. So we will try to see how to get the recorded session to people. Thank you for the people who have recorded. Much appreciated as well. Just give us some time. We are trying to figure out how to do this. And I'm myself bombarded with a lot of messages. And other than my regular work, right? So I have also regular work which I do. And then I do the same thing, Kushita. We're all trying to do the best we can here, right? So please be a little patient. We'll come back because if I get at a single time 20 people, 30 people sending 5, 6, 6 messages, it is a little bit overwhelming for me because I have got so many things and I have also my deadlines to finish, right? In my regular work, my concentration, everything. So I am a little bit bombarded as well. So please just give us some time. Every message will be answered at the best possible reasonable time to make sure we give you clarity. Yeah, we do the best we can. So thank you. I'm just saying the prayer. You can close the room in a minute or so. Yeah, I'm just saying the prayer for a minute. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep, I'm done. We can start the countdown. However you want it.
Okay, I'm just gonna close the room in 3, 2, and 1.
Thank you, sir.